Welcome guys! Today I'm gonna take this raw file right here and I'm gonna turn it into a picture like this in just about 5 minutes. Alright, so the entire picture is a little bit gloomy and dark, so I'm gonna raise the exposure as well as the whites a bit. Then the shadows are still kind of dark, so let's raise them as well. Also really want to bring down the highlights by a lot, that way you will get all of this highlight detail in the sky. And I think I'm gonna bring down some of the blacks. Yeah, along with bringing up the contrast just to make the entire picture pop a bit more. And speaking of pop, I want to bring up the vibrance as well as the saturation and really get some color in there as well. Now, color temperature is something that is quite tough to do because I would probably go for a warmer look here, but since I know I want to go into the split toning in a second, I'm actually going to make it a bit more a bit cooler, just like that. Maybe mix that with a bit of tint into the magenta here and go into the split toning right away to add some warmth here in the highlights. And I want to mix that with a little bit of color as well, so let's actually add quite a lot here. And then go into the shadows as well and just see what I want to do. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go for a bit of a blue tone here, a very light blue actually. And just about 15 saturation, maybe not even that. And from before any split toning to after, you can see, especially in the highlights and in the sky, how much it changes the photo. So let's go into the tonal curve, and I love the tonal curve to really specify and fine-tune all of the shadow and brightness. So let's actually go into the plus highlights, I think, and in exchange a little bit into the minus lights. Now with the darks, I do think I want to raise them by quite a bit actually, and bring down the shadows as in exchange to still have some dark parts. And this is from before tonal curve to after. Alright, so this looks pretty good. I'm just gonna fine tune some of the vignetting because I do want to add some vignetting in here. And, you know, just about 5, 6 that you can do in the effects tab. And after that, I'm gonna go into the local adjustments. So the local adjustments are great for getting, you know, just certain parts of your picture either darker, brighter, less, more color, whatever you don't want to affect the entire photo is great to use the local adjustments for. And I'm gonna use the graduated filters right here, just to make certain parts, first of all, a little bit darker. So especially the top as well as the bottom of the sky and the road right here. And yeah, maybe even add another one over the right just to make this entire wall a bit darker. And you know, I love to just add a very big filter over the entire side of a photo and then go a bit into the plus exposure and mix that with a bit of whites. So from before any graduated filters, you can see it's relatively flat in comparison, and afterwards it really has some dynamic. The light is coming from the left, the right is a lot darker than before, so it really has some difference and some interest in there. However, I'm gonna go into the dodge and burning with the rail filters as well, and you want to make sure you invert the mask, feather always at 100. And then I'm gonna start off with some plus exposure and plus whites. Now, I'm not gonna do too many of these rail filters here, instead just a few big ones. And again, I wanna have this light come into the picture even more than before. So just gonna amplify this entire dynamic and interest. And perhaps add an even other one just for a little bit of spill on the wall itself on the right. Notice I mixed that with a little bit of warm color temperature, so it actually looks more natural as well. And then I think I'm just gonna add another filter, this time not with any exposure, but just with a little bit of warmth. Quite a bit of warmth actually here in the color. And then go into color temperature, add even more. And mix that with a little bit of tint. So now I just want to make this center part where the very bright spot is even more warm, and I think I'm even going to make it a little bit less bright so I can actually have more detail here. Now, yeah, I think that's pretty good. You know, you would probably want to spend a little bit more time fine-tuning here, but since this is a 5-minute edit, I'm just gonna end up with removing the chromatic aberration, which is the purple and green fringing on the high contrast edges, and it really looks a lot better. As a very last thing, I'm actually gonna go into the cropping here and just make everything a little bit more tight. You know, all of these edges are a bit too much, so I think that looks a lot better and a lot more focused on the actual subject. You should probably do that at the start before doing anything, because if you do it at the end, you might throw off some of the local adjustments. But that being said, I still think this looks pretty good, so let's see here with the raw file in comparison. Very flat, very dark and gloomy in comparison, and afterwards there's really a ton of color, a ton of dynamic, and a ton of interest. So I hope you've enjoyed this 5-minute quick edit. Be sure to subscribe, and there are also 2 videos that you can click on right here. Thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.